The Arizona sun was barely rising when Jack Turner heard the pounding on his garage door. He opened it to find Maria, the local diner owner, breathless and shaking. "Jack, it's my father. He's stuck in the hills. He went out early to find the old water source near the abandoned mine, and he hasn't come back." Jack's eyes narrowed with quiet determination. "When did he leave?" "Before dawn," Maria said, tears welling up. "He has heart issues, Jack. Please." Jack placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Get some water ready, and call the clinic. I'll find him." Grandpa's truck roared to life, dust kicking up as Jack drove toward the hills, the light painting long shadows across the red rocks. The trails were narrow, winding through dry brush and loose gravel, but Jack navigated each bend with practiced calm. As the sun climbed higher, the heat pressed down on the land. Jack stopped, scanning the canyon. "Mr. Alvarez?" he called, his voice echoing off the cliffs. A faint voice answered, "Here. Down here." Jack followed the sound, finding Mr. Alvarez sitting under a mesquite tree, pale and clutching his chest. Beside him was a small tin canteen and a bundle of old maps. "Jack," Mr. Alvarez croaked. "I thought I could make it, find the spring, but—" Jack knelt beside him, checking his pulse. "You're going to be all right. We're getting you home." With careful movements, Jack helped Mr. Alvarez to his feet, supporting him as they slowly climbed toward Grandpa's truck. The older man winced with every step, but Jack's calm voice kept him focused. Just one step at a time. When they reached the truck, Jack settled Mr. Alvarez in the passenger seat, offering him water and letting him catch his breath before starting the engine. "Why did you go alone?" Jack asked gently as they drove back. Mr. Alvarez sighed, looking out the window. "I wanted to find water for the town. The old spring, it used to run clear. I thought I could help." Jack nodded, understanding. "Trying to help is never wrong, but you're more valuable to your family here with them." As they pulled back into town, Maria ran out, tears streaming down her face as she hugged her father. Jack stepped back, watching the reunion quietly, the Arizona wind rustling through his hair. Another rescue. Another reminder that quiet strength saves lives in ways few ever see. A few days later, as the town settled back into its quiet rhythm, Maria visited Jack at the garage with a small jar of homemade jam, her way of saying thank you. Jack accepted it with a nod, placing it on a shelf already filled with small tokens of gratitude from the people he had quietly helped over the years. A carved wooden bird, a hand-stitched cloth, a child's crayon drawing of Grandpa's truck, all reminders that kindness leaves silent echoes. That afternoon, the town's mayor, Mr. Collins, arrived with urgency in his steps, dust clinging to his boots. "Jack, we need you. There's been a cave-in near the abandoned mine where Mr. Alvarez was. A few teens went exploring, and they're trapped inside." Jack's jaw tightened, a quiet resolve settling over him as memories of his own past rescue missions flickered in his mind. "How many are inside?" "3. We can hear them calling for help, but the entrance is blocked. The ground isn't stable, and rescue teams are hours away," Collins explained, wiping sweat from his brow. Jack looked at Grandpa's truck, its engine still warm from a delivery run, and nodded. "Show me the way." They arrived at the old mine, where dust hung thick in the air, and a small crowd of worried parents had gathered, voices hushed, fear in their eyes. Jack stepped forward, inspecting the collapsed entrance, noting the shifting rocks and narrow crevices. He called out, "Can you hear me?" Faint, frightened voices responded, "We're here. We're okay, but we can't move the rocks." Jack turned to the parents, his voice calm but firm. "They're alive, and that's what matters. I'm going in." Using ropes, gloves, and a headlamp, Jack crawled into a small opening, carefully shifting rocks as he moved. Each creak of stone above was a reminder of the risk, but his breathing stayed steady, focus unbroken. Dust clung to his skin as he whispered encouragement to himself. "Step by step, Jack." "Jack Turner," a trembling young voice called out from the dark. "Yes, it's me. Stay calm. Help is here, and we're getting you out." He found the teens huddled together, dirt-smudged and bruised, tears streaking down their faces. "We're scared," one of them whispered, clutching the hand of another. Jack offered a reassuring smile, eyes steady. "Fear is normal, but we're going to take it slow. I need you to trust me." One by one he guided them back, securing ropes around their waists, clearing a narrow path with careful movements. Each shift of a rock, a calculated decision, honed from years of quiet rescue work. Outside, the parents waited, breaths held. As the first teen emerged into the fading light, a collective sigh of relief swept through the crowd. Parents rushed forward, tears flowing as they held their children. Jack emerged last, covered in dust, sweat streaking through the grime on his face, his eyes calm. Maria found Jack later, pressing a cup of coffee into his dusty hands, her own hands shaking. "Jack, you didn't have to go in there yourself. You could have waited." Jack took a sip, letting the warmth sink into his bones as he looked out at the sunrise breaking over the Arizona hills. Someone had to, Maria. Sometimes showing up is the most important thing. The town woke up that morning to stories of Jack Turner's quiet bravery, and as the sun climbed higher, Jack stood beside Grandpa Truck, ready for the next call, knowing that the world still needed people willing to crawl through the dark to bring others back to the light. The day after the mine rescue, the town was buzzing with gratitude for Jack Turner, but Jack returned to the garage, quietly tending to Grandpa Truck. He checked the winch cable, cleaned the tools, and refueled, preparing for the next call, because he knew in a town like theirs it was never a matter of if, but when. Late that afternoon, a storm rolled in, painting the Arizona sky with dark, heavy clouds. Thunder rumbled in the distance as rain began to fall in heavy sheets. Jack stood under the garage awning, watching the rain hit the dusty ground, the scent of wet earth rising around him. A frantic banging on the garage door snapped him from his thoughts. It was Tyler, soaked, his hair plastered to his forehead. "Jack, it's Ellie's boy, Sam. He's stuck down by the river. He went to get their dog and the water came up too fast." Jack's eyes sharpened, and he grabbed his coat. "Let's go." They drove Grandpa Truck through the sheets of rain, the wipers working furiously. Water pooled on the dirt roads, turning them into slick, muddy tracks, but Jack's steady hands kept the truck moving forward. When they reached the river, the current was high, swollen from the sudden downpour. On the opposite bank, Sam clung to a tree, the family's dog beside him, barking in fear. "Hold on, Sam!" Tyler shouted over the roar of the water. Jack assessed the current, the mud, the debris floating by. "Tyler, get the ropes ready. We'll use the winch to anchor me across." Jack secured himself with the rope and started across, each step calculated, water pushing against him as he moved. The cold bit into his legs, but he kept going, eyes locked on Sam. When he reached the boy, Sam was shivering, eyes wide with fear. "I'm scared, Mr. Turner." Jack knelt, gripping Sam's shoulder. "Being scared means you're alive, son. We're going to get you home." He tied the rope around Sam and the dog, signaling Tyler to start pulling them back across the current. Jack guided them, his boots slipping on the muddy rocks, water rising to his waist. As Sam and the dog reached the other side, Tyler hugged the boy, relief washing over him. Jack, still in the river, paused, letting out a breath before making his way back, step by step, the current fighting him until he reached the bank. The rain slowed, turning to a light drizzle as Ellie arrived, tears streaming as she hugged Sam tightly. "Thank you, Jack," she whispered, voice cracking. Jack just nodded, patting Sam's head gently. "Be careful around the river, okay?" As they loaded Grandpa Truck and prepared to head back, Tyler looked at Jack, his voice soft. "Why do you always go, Jack? Why you?" Jack looked out at the river, the clouds breaking to reveal a streak of sunlight. "Because, Tyler, sometimes you don't wait for someone else to step up. Sometimes you just go." They drove back to town, the storm clearing behind them, Jack Turner and Grandpa Truck ready for whatever tomorrow would bring, quietly holding the line when others couldn't. The morning after the river rescue, Jack Turner sat quietly on the porch of the garage, sipping coffee as the Arizona sun rose, casting long shadows across the dusty street. Grandpa Truck was parked nearby, mud still caked on the tires from yesterday's storm. Jack wiped a spot off the windshield, lost in thought. Tyler approached, holding 2 cups of coffee. "Brought you a refill," he said, sitting beside Jack. Jack accepted it with a small nod. "Thanks." They sat in silence, the warmth of the coffee grounding them in the cool morning air. "Jack," Tyler began, "Ellie said Sam hasn't stopped talking about you, about how you didn't even hesitate." Jack stared at the sunrise. "That's not why I did it." "I know," Tyler replied, "but it mattered to him." Jack looked at Tyler, studying the young man who had started showing up more often, helping around the garage, watching, learning. "You thinking of leaving?" Jack asked suddenly. Tyler shook his head. "No, I think I'm meant to be here, to help, like you." Before Jack could respond, a radio call crackled from inside the garage. It was Maria from the diner. "Jack, we have a situation. The old bridge out east collapsed under a supply truck. Driver's okay, but stuck and the road's blocked. We need those supplies before the next storm hits." Jack stood, finishing his coffee in a single swallow. "Let's go." They loaded ropes, chains, and tools into Grandpa Truck, the engine growling to life. The drive out east was rough, the road washed out in places, but they reached the collapsed bridge to find the supply truck tilted dangerously, blocking the narrow path. The driver, an older man named Hank, waved them down. "Jack, I can't move it, and if we leave it, the next rain will wash it down the ravine." Jack assessed the situation, his eyes narrowing. "We're going to pull it out. Tyler, you're with me." They worked together, anchoring the winch, securing the ropes. Jack showed Tyler how to brace the cables, how to read the tension, how to listen to the groan of metal to know when to pull and when to stop. "Ready?" Jack called. Tyler nodded, his hands steady on the controls. "Ready." Grandpa Truck strained, the winch pulling, the supply truck inching forward, tires grinding against the mud. The sun climbed higher, sweat dripping down their faces as they worked, inch by inch. Finally, with one last pull, the supply truck rolled free, moving back onto stable ground. Hank leaned against his truck, breathing hard. "Jack, I don't know how to thank you." Jack nodded. "Just get those supplies where they're needed." As Hank drove off, Tyler turned to Jack, a tired but proud smile on his face. "We did it." Jack clapped a hand on his shoulder. "You did good today." They stood beside Grandpa Truck, the Arizona wind warm against their skin. Jack looked at Tyler, seeing the next generation of quiet heroes in his determined gaze. "Sometimes," Jack said, looking out at the horizon, "helping isn't about being the strongest. It's about showing up again and again." Tyler nodded. "I think I'm starting to understand." As they headed back to town, Grandpa Truck rumbled along the dirt road, Jack Turner and Tyler ready for whatever came next, carrying forward the quiet strength that the town had come to rely on, one rescue at a time.